welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get all in here, y'all. Get all in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, this is my review recap for BEL-AIR Season 2, Episode 3, Compromise. Child, let's get into it, okay? Black Teachers Matter. They was touching on, of course, Miss Hughes getting fired, okay? We need to stand up and talk about the fact that not only do black teachers matter, but black students matter, our curriculum matters. I need Hillary though, child. I need you to get a backbone, baby. I need you to stop playing games with Ivory, letting her get over on you, but I also need you to be able to take responsibility for your own actions and stand on your own 2 feet. I was so worried about Carlton in this episode, y'all. His anxiety was giving me anxiety, okay? Because we know that Carlton is not used to, standing up and giving speeches and having to put authority into effect. And the fact that they also have lowered his medication had me real worried. What is Jeffrey out here looking for in Phil's desk, baby? All right. Did Jeffrey come back with an agenda? Is this not all just about brotherly love, honey? He really wanted to get close to Phil to be able to find out some things. Is he trying to look for his son? What is the truth? What is going on with that? Of course, Mama Vivian is still trying to figure things out and get her foot in and spacing with this whole Reed thing and, branch off and do her own thing or whatever. And Ashley is feeling like, this is all her fault that Miss Hughes got, fired in the first place, child. Let's go ahead and get into this episode, y'all. Take it from the top. You know how we do. So, of course, we start out this episode, Will is trying to see, if his teammates is going to stand from with him. And they're trying to see if he is really about it. He's going to actually be for the team and about the team. And we're going to be able to work all together. And he gives them, his word. And, his teammates say, all right, then I'm going to go ahead and trust you. Then we got Lisa coming up behind him. And she's like, that trophy is even bigger than it, was the last time around. And he's like, well, great. Then it's going to look great in my hands. Of course, things is a little awkward towards them or with them, because of him saying that he want to go ahead and take a break and they ain't going to be rocking the same way no more. But they say that, we are still friends, right? We still cool no matter what. And so, we also see that this is taking a heavy toll on Carlton, like I said. And we got this teacher that's going really hard on him saying, Carlton, you're going to have to be the one to let them know that they can't do all of this. There's other ways to go about it. This is not going to look good with you as far as the things that you're trying to achieve. And you might want to go ahead and talk to your cousin Will and persuade him that this is not the way to go. And Carlton kind of called his homegirl out too and was like, yeah, it's a position that's coming up. I see that you applied for it. And so maybe that's why you don't want us out here doing this walkout or whatever either. And she hits him in the head with, you work so hard. You got a bright future ahead of you. You don't want to do anything that's going to mess you up. You may want to take that into consideration as well. And so she really has been kind of smiling in the kids' faces and acting like she's down with the cause, because he was saying, I would think this would make you happy. But she's trying to bring up the Founders Award, and it's just interesting to me that she's always doing this behind everybody's back instead of her talking to the BSU, all together and saying that this is how she feels. It's like it's one way with them, but then there's a different way behind the scenes with Carlton, which makes me give you the side eye, lady, okay? And of course, when Will comes, she's over here playing it off, talking about I heard you gonna pull up an offset and, a upset. And of course, Will is like, yeah, I got it. So as soon as him and Carlton get outside, of course, Will is like, yeah, well, I want to know what, Miss Teacher was talking about. And, Carlton is like, you heard that, huh? And he's like, yeah. And he basically, of course, lets him know that she does not think that they should be doing this walkout. And he was like, man, that's how things get done through protests or whatever. Don't let her scare you off. But I was kind of getting mad at Will because I felt like he wasn't seeing how much a toll, or taking into consideration how much a toll something like this can bring to Carlton as far as his anxiety and stuff like that goes, right? And at this point, he didn't know yet that Phil and them had decided to lower, Carlton's dosage. And so we got to be mindful and, watching out for him in that aspect. But I get it because he really didn't know that part. And right now he's just thinking his nerves. He's like, yo, this is what you need to do. And, this is how we could do things. And he's like, don't you want to help Ashley? She's over here blaming herself. So of course Carlton is like, you're right, you're right. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do the walkout. And he's back down with it again. And, Will is basically like, all right, come on, trust me, everything is going to be all right. But, he does not have that same attitude like Will. So now we get to them trying to, prepare. And of course, they got, Vivian and Phil's support. We got Jeffrey and Phil back there helping Vivian, and they making jokes about how Vivian used to be, making them putting that work back in the days, okay, and giving them some directions, honey. And she was like, no, they love doing it. It's not like I was forcing them to do it or anything. And so, of course, Ashley is still questioning them even there, saying, what if it doesn't go good? And they're just telling her, like, think positive about it or whatever, right? And Miss Vivian does, Aunt Vivian, she does pull Hillary to the side and try to give her a job being her assistant. But Hillary's like, nah, I'm booked and busy, mama, okay? I can't do it. And so she basically ends up calling Lisa to the side, and they're like, yeah, that would be a perfect fit. And Lisa's just like over the moon, to do it for her. So Hillary is supposed to have this, chance to work with this drink company or whatever the case may be. And that's where her head is at right now, right? Now, in the meantime, Will is over here trying to get Carlton to rap to homegirl from the damn BSU. And he's like, yo, we supposed to be here working on, doing this daggone, protest or whatever the case may be. This not the time for me to be trying to get with her. And Will is telling him it's the exact right time, And we also did have, Will's teammates show up and say, well, I got your back. I'm here. Miss Hughes was a good teacher, so I'll do anything I can to support. And Will's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I like that. Like, you know what I mean? You kept your word. You came through. He letting everybody know we got food, we got drinks, we got anything you need. We all in this together. We got some people over here that's going to be making signs. Some people that's supposed to be over here working on this speech. And so come on, everybody, let's get busy. Now, we end up seeing Lisa walking through with this guy, and come to find out, he done been to marches and protests, all through the summer. He dropped his sports and his other activities that he would normally have to go to this protest up. And, she's like, wow, I didn't know you was doing all that. And she's like, I wish I could have went. But of course, he was like, I get it. Your father is the daggone chief of police. So, that's going to look a little funny. He ain't going to be having you going to no police protest. And we seeing that, Will over here giving the eyes all up in their business or whatever the case may be, even though he supposedly don't want Lisa no more. We even have one of his teammates say, like, well, you over her, right? He was like, dag, every summer he be trying to get with her, but he never get a chance to get with her. Before she was with Carlton, then she was with you. But since she's single now, then we probably could get some things on and popping. And, he's asking, Will, you don't still want her, do you? And Will is talking about, no, but he could see the look on Will's face. And of course he is like, yeah, sure you don't. Now, in the meantime, we finally have Uncle Phil actually pull Will to the side and say, I want to speak to you a minute. Well, Will is like, I'm not in trouble again, am I? No, I want to talk to you about Carlton. And he does finally break it down for him and let him know that they took Carlton off these pills. They lowered the dosage. And so we want to know if it's anything strange that goes on. And of course, at first, Will is trying to make light of it and make jokes and be like, well, Carlton is always strange or whatever, right? But he's like, this is serious. He was like, even if it's any little thing, tell me or your aunt, because we need to make sure that he's not having any type of side effects and, that everything is all right with him. And Will is like, I got him. Okay, I'm always going to have Carlton's back. And so, of course, while he's in there, he wants to know, have they given any thought to Doc? And, Phil is basically like, yeah, we did. And we still got to speak to your mom. And we looked over all his stuff because he was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's good, right? And he was like, well, we just don't know that it's a right fit for you. And so, of course, since Phil is not automatically saying yes to Will about Doc, we get the Will pouty face that we always get, right? And he's seeming like he's really disappointed that, Phil is not just right on board with it, okay? Now, moving on from that, Hillary takes the time when her mom is asking her about the whole assistant thing to ask them what she and her dad feel about Jeffrey, give me mine, y'all, about Jazzy. And so she's like, oh, you ain't trying to tell me, you know what I'm saying, no direct answers or whatever, you know, mom, any other time y'all got a whole bunch of stuff to say. Y'all stayed in my business when it came to my ex and y'all thought I was gonna marry him. And mama is like, yeah, and we learned from that. So we ain't doing that again. We ain't going back down that road now. We say whatever, you know what I'm saying, you want, as long as we see you happy, that's all that matters. You know, what did your dad say? Oh, well, he said whatever I want, and as long as I'm happy too. And so she was like, well, maybe that's how he really feels. She was like, I'm not going to play the middleman between you and your father. So you need to go and have a conversation with him if you want to know how he feels about it. But she was like, so far, he hasn't said nothing to me about it. And, you know, Hillary was just like, I don't believe that. Now, in the meantime, this girl is telling, you know, Carlton, like, we need to stay focused. Okay, Miss President, you know, she over here telling him, you know, is there somewhere quiet that we could go to write down this speech and to see what we gonna do so that, you know, we could get this together. And he's like, yeah, you know, follow me. And of course, you know, this is Lil Crush, so he all smiling or whatever the case may be. Now, of course, they also are telling him, you know, we need to fight the system. And so they want him to give the speech. And this makes him uncomfortable, right? Carlton don't really want to be out front. He just wanted to kind of help. He's not expecting to be the face of this. And so he was like, of course, y'all want to pick me because y'all feel like, you know, I'm the little, you know, outcast Negro. And she was like, well, I'm sorry if that offends you. But he was like, no, I get the fact that, you know, it does make sense logically, right? And then they go head back in this room so that they could talk. So now, you know, in the meantime, of course, like I said, Will was getting a little jelly, even though he the one that cut off the relationship and he was busy hanging with Jackie all before. You know, he want to come over here, introduce himself, get the guy name wrong on purpose, and, you know, say how, yeah, I know how to draw, and do y'all need help with signs, you know, doing the signs. And he's like, oh, what's going on over here? And, you know, she's telling him they taking a break. But when they get back out here, do he want to come and help? And he's like, nah, y'all got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give y'all space. I said, well, if you don't go sit your behind down, baby, you can't have it both ways. So, of course, at this point, that was when she was asking Lisa if she wanted to join her cause. And then they found out that Miss Hughes is there. And they like, wait, what? Miss Hughes wasn't supposed to be here. What is going on? So, of course, Ashley called her and told her about this and wanted her to just see how everybody was around and here for her. And she was saying, like, you know, keep up the good work. I wish y'all all good luck. This makes me feel so good and so proud to see all of you here, you know, gather here to support me. I really do appreciate y'all, whatever, right? And I'm like, so I don't know, because I was kind of expecting her to be like, well, y'all don't got to do all of this for me, or, you know, let me help you. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't really just expecting it to just be that. But I was like, okay, girl. So, of course, at this point, Phil has dug deeper and he talked to Miss Hughes and got a little bit more insight about the situation. And he's like, you know, she basically doesn't have the chance that we think she probably could have, because she wanted the curriculum to be more inclusive. She didn't think they was moving it fast enough. She kept on them about it, but she added in different things into the syllabus as time was going on without getting their approval first, was warned about it several times, and was given these extra credit, you know, things out on the side, which of course was like, you know, for example, the books that she was given to Ashley and things of that nature. And so, you know, Vivian is saying even though she went about it the wrong way, she clearly believed in it and was doing the right thing, and that she stands by her and agrees with her. And Phil is like, yeah, I get that, and I can see that too. But at the end of the day, child, you know, when you working in somebody else's, you know, place of business, you got to go by their rules and regulations still, right? So if you want to do it your way, you kind of got to have your own thing and not somebody else's. So at the end of the day, Vivian starts to say, well, maybe we got to find a bigger cause, because Phil is saying as it stands, you know what I'm saying, it's looking a little shaky. It's not so cut and dry where she could get her job back just like that, right? And so you got, Carlson talking about how they've been whitewashing things and they're crossing the line. And he's like, do you think it's too much? And she's like, no, it's perfect. She was like, and you're going to deliver it like a king. So, of course, this make him smile. And he like a king. And he like, well, you a queen yourself. Okay. You the queen of all of this, you know what I'm saying, as the president of the BSU. And so he was like, that's pretty damn cool. All right. And they about to lean in for a kiss, but then daggone Hillary interrupts and talking about something. I'm sorry, but Dad and Mama looking for you. So I was like, okay, Carlton, you about to get you a new little boo thing. I see you. So, we move on from there, whatever the case may be, and we having, the family kind of have a meeting and talk about what the odds are and what the situation is, and they telling them that, now they have kind of sent out something that is saying that, they may not be able to do the protest the way that they want to, and they letting them know that it may be harder than, just getting Mrs. Hughes her job back. So they say, well, it's bigger than Miss Hughes, right? And so they's trying to figure out whether they really still want to do this walkout tomorrow or not. And they're all taking a vote, and they're all pretty much like, yeah, I'm still down. And Carlton is busy looking at Miss President, giving her the daggone googly eyes. And he pretty much says, yeah, because at this point it's more so coming off like he's trying to impress her rather than it being about the actual situation that's going on. Will is making jokes the next morning like, oh, so you and her was, writing speeches and having speech sex. Okay, y'all a little kinky in there, right? I like it. And Carlton is all blushing. And then, Ashley comes out and gives them the posters and stuff she made and says that they sent out messages saying no middle schooler can, participate in the walkout or whatever. So, Carlton tells her don't worry about it, that he's going to put up one of the posters that she made right in front of her class so she could be able to see it like right outside the window. And she's basically saying thank you to him. So now Hillary finally has this meeting with this Drake company, and she's asking, what do you think about our product? She's telling them it's amazing. She can't wait for them to do great things together. But they actually seem to want to move forward with only if she has Ivory in on it too. And so she's like, would the collaborations depend on that? And they said, well, we would like to just, discuss the partnership or whatever the case may be. But Ivy having 10 million followers, that would really sell it for my bosses. And Hillary over here talking about, great, let's move forward. So it's like if she's already saying yes for Ivy without speaking to Ivy, which, child, no. Okay, that's a no-no. Now, in the meantime, now they are really still cracking down more and more at the school, right? They're saying y'all will be suspended. They're hitting the lacrosse. They're hitting the basketball team. They're hitting the arts team. They're hitting the BSU, everybody that they can. So they're getting texts from certain people that are saying, look, I can't afford to be suspended, so they backing out. But other people are still saying they down. The basketball team says, look, if you walk, we still stand behind you, which Will is really happy to hear. Lacrosse says that they're still in. Track says they're still in, so that's looking good. But they say we need to call an emergency BSU meeting to see how everybody else is going to feel. But they feel like because it's mostly black students, they will probably stand behind them. At this point, you could definitely still see that Carlton is getting daggone anxiety like crazy. But, Will is telling him, don't let Miss Boston get in your head. Stand tall and firm and stick to this. And I don't think Will still was really seeing the impact that it was having. Now, in the meantime, we get them back in the classroom and they all, saying their points and how they feel. And they like, well, maybe we could go and talk to the school administrator, see if we could set up a meeting with them to see if we could have a smaller delegations, to see if they could be in our favor or whatever. So they say, yeah, that's a good idea. And she says, well, he probably would see them and be able to see Carlton and the president of the BSU. So they go ahead and set that up. Now, at this point, Hillary is going over, to where Ivy is working. And Ivy's like, I'm busy, I'm working. She was like, girl, I had to come in person and talk to you because you're not answering none of my calls. And she's like, yeah, hence working. So that's why I wasn't answering. She was like, what's going on? She was like, oh, well, girl, I have a great opportunity that could really help with the house or whatever the case may be. It would be a great look for us. And, I wanted to know if you could go ahead and, be able to listen to me for 5 seconds so I could break it down for you and let you know what's happening or whatever, because I've been hitting you up and, I want you to be included in this. So, of course, Ivy is over here like, listen, I'm busy right now, but meet me later. Okay, we could go ahead and talk about it then. She's like, oh, okay, girl, and she goes back to work. So, of course, Hillary is frustrated with that. Now, we seeing Jeffrey creeping and looking inside the Phil office, and I'm like, what is he exactly looking for? He on the laptop, and apparently Phil done changed that daggone password. And so he hears him coming back in, and he hurries up and gets up off the computer, closes everything, and acts like he's looking through papers. He says to Phil, oh, I thought you was at the office. I thought you had went on. He was like, I'm just trying to speed some things up. And so Phil is like, yeah, I was going to go to some meetings, but they got canceled. So I decided I'm going to work from home. And he's like, okay, cool. He was like, but anyway, since you here, he ends up giving Jeffrey a gift or whatever the case may be. So he's like, oh, what's the occasion? And he says, it's to the fresh start. So he's like, okay, thank you. He was like, Dag, you didn't have to do this. And Phil is like, yeah, I wanted to. He was like, happy to have you home, brother. So he's like, all right, thank you. Now, he was like, I hope you're ready to get to work because, I need you or whatever, right? This was Phil says to Jeffrey. So now he wants him to go ahead and do an investigation on James Lewis. Something is not right with him in the firm. And I forgot to mention the last time that I was doing the review that when Phil went back to work, James was kind of coming off like, oh, we're happy to have you back, but we wasn't really expecting you to come in and start working right now. Kind of acting like he just want Phil to be on some, I'm the face, of the agency, but I'm not really working for the firm or whatever the case may be type of vibes. So Jeffrey is like he's on it, and when he walks out, Phil checks his desk, he checks his laptop and everything looks right, but he got a look on his face like he know that Jeffrey was in there up to something, child, which I think it was, baby, which I think it was. So of course, now they go to this meeting and Carlton is like, we want to save you embarrassment, but we also want to be able to make a stand and do what we got to do for ourselves and stuff like that. This is bigger than all of us. And they come back and say, well, no one is going to get suspended. They like, hey, all right, and they say they agreed to review the policy and, try to make changes that got Miss Fuse fired in the first place, and the review board is gonna look over everything. So they like, oh, good start, good job. So she like tell them the rest, okay? And Carlton basically says, well, we cannot show the signs. We can't show the signs, and we can't, we can't make any signs or do any, chants or make any speeches. So Will is like, so they trying to mute us. He like, that's not a daggone protest. You know what I'm saying? That's supposed to be a part of it. Like, if they making us be silent, then we really can't get our point across. And that was the whole daggone point. Well, this is basically just a fire drill. So he was like, so now they will suspend us if we do any of those things or whatever the case might be. So it's up to y'all. Will y'all do it the quiet way, or do y'all want to still take a chance and go the other way? So at this point, they're all saying they'll do it the quiet way. And of course, this frustrates and make Will mad. He don't agree with it. But then when they on the side, they like, well, we just pretending that we gonna go along with it. But really, when we get out here, we still gonna talk about it, Now, we got Ivy coming in, and Hillary done been waiting there over an hour. Now she talking about she got some other work to do. And she like, girl, I'm not going to sit here and go into business with the competition. And Hillary's like, competition is not no damn competition, girl, because these people are worldwide, okay? All over the damn world. Your damn Ivy drink is nowhere near where they are at. So what are you talking about? She was like, yeah, I can't, do no collab with them. I'm sorry. I got my own business that I'm doing. So that's a no for me, dog. But even though she says no, Hillary takes it upon herself to put yes, that is on. And I said, Hillary, that was a big mistake. That's going to come back to bite you on your behind. Okay, as much as I don't agree with Ivy and I agree with Jazzy that you always letting her overstep you, you standing up for yourself to her is what we wanted, not you sitting here forging and acting like she said yes to something that she didn't. Now, moving on from that, it gets time for him to walk out. Of course, it's all intense, and everybody's looking at the clock, and the minutes and the seconds is going slow. Carlton is the first one to stand up. He takes his jacket off. They get out in this hallway. They like, okay, if y'all joining the walkout, let's go. You know, when they get outside, they like, who's going to be on social media? Who's, you know, taking the pictures? Who's going to show what we doing? They like, all right, when are y'all going to get up and, you know, do the speech? We see them taking away the signs. And of course, we slowly see that, you know, freaking, you know, child, I'm sorry. We see that Carlton is having this anxiety attack, right? He gets online, he puts out a little speech up there, and he's like, that's good. And they're like, nah, that's not good enough. That was weak. They was like, come on, you need to do more than that. And they keep going, Carlton, come on. They like, give me the banner and let me take the picture, because he can't even seem to get his phone out to do that. And so they're telling him, well, you can still do the speech, Carlton. And they asking what is going on. And I'm like, well, why isn't Lisa or somebody saying he gets panic attacks? She knows that, even if the other kids are not that familiar with it. You know, he's telling them to give him a minute, and he go over by the tree child holding on to dear life. And finally Will catches on and is like, don't worry, I got you. Just breathe. It's going to be all right. And Will runs, okay, gets to the top of the daggone building, because they was all saying like, you know, basically it's over. Y'all go back in or whatever. And Will gets to the top and is able to drop the banner down that says Black Teachers Matter. They showing it online, and all the kids start to chant, Black Teachers Matter. Black Teachers Matter. Okay, Black Teachers Matter. Black Teachers Matter. So Will makes it to the top. He takes it for the team, you know, and Carlton is just still standing there looking, child. The poor Carlton, they had him scratched, okay? They had him scratched. But anyway, y'all, what did y'all think about this episode? You know, what do y'all think Jeffrey was in there looking for? What you think gonna happen with, you know, filling this daggone job of his, child? What do you think gonna happen between Ivy and Hillary? Put it in the comments. Let's discuss it down there. Anything that I left out, you know, let's discuss it in the comments. Till next time, y'all, okay? Give me a like, a comment, a share, subscribe. If you are so inclined to give me a wave, let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky. Toodaloo.